What if I told you that everything you lost, everything you cried for, and every pain you carried in silence was secretly preparing you for something greater? What if the very thing that broke you was the same thing that would one day make you whole again? This is not just a story. This is the story, the one that will make you believe in life again. Once upon a time, in a small forgotten village, lived a young man named Ao. He had dreams bigger than the sky, but life was cruel to him. His father had died when he was little, his mother was sick, and every day felt like a war just to survive. His neighbors whispered, "He will never make it." And deep inside, Ao started to believe him. Every time Ao tried, he failed. He started a small farm, it dried up. He tried learning carpentry, the tools broke. He tried singing in the village festivals, people laughed at him. He began to wonder, am I cursed? Was I born only to suffer? One night, sitting by the river with his head low, an old traveler appeared. His face was wrinkled, but his eyes burned with wisdom. He looked at Ao and said, "The darkest nights create the brightest stars. Why are you hiding your light?" Ao laughed bitterly. "Light? Old man, my life has no light." But the stranger only smiled. Before disappearing, the old man gave Ao a strange map. "Follow this path," he whispered, "and you will find not gold, not power, but the reason you were born." And with that, the old man vanished. Ao hesitated. He could have thrown the map away. But something in his heart told him to walk. So with nothing but his courage, he stepped out of his village for the first time. Little did he know, this journey would change everything. The map led him through a forest. Hungry and weak, he collapsed under a tree. Just as he thought it was over, a bird flew down and dropped a seed beside him. Ao planted it in the soil, and within hours, a small fruit grew. It was enough to give him strength. He realized, sometimes help comes in ways we don't expect. But as he continued, the whispers returned. "Turn back, Ao. You are nothing. You will fail." These voices weren't from outside, they were inside his own head. He almost gave up, until he remembered the stranger's words, "The darkest nights create the brightest stars." The map led him to a huge mountain. Villagers warned him, no one has ever crossed it. Monsters live there. His legs trembled. Fear screamed louder than his courage. But Ao thought, if I don't climb, I will always remain the same. And so, step by step, he began the impossible climb. Halfway up, a terrible storm broke. Lightning flashed, winds roared, and rocks fell. Ao was thrown down again and again. He cried out, "Why me? Why this?" But each time he fell, he forced himself to rise. His body was bleeding, but his spirit refused to die. Inside a cave on the mountain, Ao met a wounded lion. At first, he feared for his life. But then he saw the lion's paw trapped under a stone. Ao pushed with all his strength and freed the beast. Instead of attacking, the lion bowed. From that day, it walked beside him as his protector. Beyond the mountain was a desert. Days passed without water. The sun burned his skin. He thought he would die there. But then he remembered the seed, the fruit, the lion. He was not alone. Even in emptiness, life always left him a sign of hope. At the edge of death, Ao saw an oasis. He drank deeply, and in the water's reflection, he saw not the broken boy from the village, but a warrior. For the first time, he whispered, "Maybe I was born for something greater." At last, the map led him to a city shining with gold. People there lived in luxury, but they had no joy. They chased money but had no peace. Ao was tempted to stay. But something told him, this is not the end of the journey. Gold is not the purpose. A rich man in the city offered Ao treasures if he gave up the map. For a moment, Ao almost agreed. He was tired of suffering, but then he remembered his mother, his people, and the stranger's words. He refused. That night, the rich man sent thieves to attack him. But the lion roared and protected him. The path now grew darker. Ao lost his way. He fell into despair, crying like the boy he once was. Why did I come this far, only to fail again? But then, through his tears, he saw the map glowing. The path was still there. Hope had never left him. The final obstacle was a river of fire. No bridge. No boat. Just flames. Ao's heart pounded. This is impossible. But then he remembered, impossible was just a word. With the lion beside him, he ran and leapt. And against all odds, he crossed. At the end of the path, Ao found not treasure, not a throne, but a mirror. Confused, he looked into it. And then, he understood. The journey was never about finding something outside. It was about discovering who he really was. The broken boy had died. Before him stood a man of courage, resilience, and purpose. Ao returned to his village, but he was no longer the same. He built farms that flourished, helped the sick, and taught the children. People no longer whispered that he was nothing. They now said, because of him, we believe again. Years later, as Ao grew old, a young boy in the village sat by the river, crying. Ao approached him, and with a gentle smile, he handed the boy a map, the same one the old stranger once gave him. And in that moment, the truth was revealed. The old stranger who started Ao's journey was Ao himself, from the future. So remember this, your pain, your tears, your failures, they are not the end. They are the beginning of your story. One day, you will look back and see that every fall made you stronger, every wound made you wiser, and every loss made you ready. The darkest nights create the brightest stars. And you, my friend, you are that star.